Here's what you missed this last week at Rigby Road Studios. First up, we had Jonathan Wilson in the studio. He used to play for a band called Makeshift, and now he has a solo project going called Living with Ghosts. Jonathan's a real cool guy. He wrote this song about his father who passed a few years ago. One of the real cool things about music, it can be really therapeutic and cathartic. John was able to sing his ass off. If you're clouded mind, and really say some things to his late father from beyond the grave in this song. And it was a really cool experience to be a part of and watch. And that's really part of what makes my job so special. Next up, I was able to do a really cool vocal session last minute for the band Slaves. I've got a friend, Alex Lyman, who grew up in Utah and he moved to California to be in this band. The singer of Slaves is a dude named Johnny Craig. He's a super talented vocalist. He's been in all sorts of bands from Dance Gavin Dance to Emarosa. He's done a lot of great things with his solo career. But Slaves seems like they've got something special to me, and it was real cool to have those guys in last minute. Johnny absolutely nailed the vocals, and it was an absolute pleasure to have those guys in this week. Maybe my foundation was born to be cracked open. How else would light find its way? I also had the pleasure of having Graham Russell in the studio this week. Graham Russell sings for the band Air Supply. They had a bunch of hits back in the 80s. It was cool to, one of my family's asking me, hey, who's coming in the studio this week? To be able to tell them somebody that they actually had heard of and knew who they were. So that was, thank you, Graham, for that. Graham is a super talented dude. He's working on a couple of projects right now. What we got to work on this week was music for a musical that he's working on. The songs are kind of Beatles, early Beatles inspired songs, and we got to track everything live, which was a super cool experience. We got to have some of my favorite people and best musicians from Salt Lake in. Joel Stevenette, who's one of my absolute favorite drummers, not just from Salt Lake, but anywhere in the US. Also Johnny Lightfoot, who plays bass for Air Supply and is an old friend of mine, and Jeff Allman, who I was able to meet this year, who's also a fantastic guitar player. We got 4 songs done in a half-day session, and they tracked everything live. It was incredible, and it was a great experience, and I look forward to doing more with these guys. We're gonna dance all night. We're gonna make it, shake it tonight. I also got to record my friends in Transit Cast this last week. Jeff Allman is a new friend of mine who is a very, very talented guitar player. It was my first chance to ever record on a Friedman amp in the studio, and those are super, super nice. I also was able to track vocals with my friend James Woods, who's also in Transit Cast. I've known James for years and years and years, but this was my first opportunity to actually produce him and hang out with him in a studio rather than just seeing him at the club when both of our bands were playing. And the innocent blood will run. The gods are praying when the devil's licks are done. I also got to wrap up some projects this last week. I just got masters back from the band Former Tides. They're a fantastic band from Utah County. Look out for them in their new EP that's coming out this year. Stephen Hawks did the masters for those as he does for 90% of everything that I do here in Rigby Road Studios, and always does a great job. Also this last week, my wife and I sold our house, so we have been in between houses. Our friends John and Tina Ruga have been nice enough to let us live in their basement for the last couple of weeks, so thank you guys so much. We'll see you guys next week.